You ever notice how sometimes silence says more than words ever could? When Lewis Hamilton crossed the finish line in Barcelona, there were no cheers, no celebration, no passionate thanks over the radio, just silence. And right after that, frustration. Because Hamilton knew something wasn't right. That car, the SF25, felt like it had just faded, like the power had vanished at the exact moment he needed it most. And now, thanks to freshly revealed telemetry and a few carefully chosen words from Fred Vasseur, we finally know why. The truth is out. Ferrari's engine department has a serious issue on its hands, and it may have cost Hamilton his best shot yet at making a real breakthrough with the team. But what exactly went wrong in Spain? Why did Hamilton's pace completely fall apart after the safety car? And more importantly, what has Ferrari done about it? Because according to Vasseur, there's a change coming. One you won't see. One that could quietly flip the entire trajectory of Hamilton's season, even if most fans never notice it. So stick with this, because what's happening behind the scenes at Ferrari right now could determine not just how this season ends, but whether Hamilton ever truly finds success in red. Now, this wasn't just a bad Sunday for Lewis. It was a coded message from inside Ferrari. Because even before the checkered flag waved in Barcelona, Fred Vasseur had already dropped a bombshell during the post-race debrief. When asked about the team's sudden lack of pace, he didn't dodge. He didn't blame tire wear or pit strategy. He said it directly. Both cars had a problem in the final stint. But here's where it gets explosive. He didn't stop there. He clarified that the issue wasn't oil-related, suggesting instead that it was something internal. And then came the real kicker. Vasseur admitted that Ferrari is already introducing updates to the SF25, but not all of them will be visible. And that changes everything. Because what that really means is Ferrari is now working in the shadows, quietly reprogramming the very heart of the car, far from the eyes of fans, far from the glare of cameras. And this brings us to the real story, the story behind Ferrari's sudden shift in engineering philosophy. They're not just updating the car, they're rewriting it from the inside out. Back at Maranello, engineers have begun implementing deep structural changes to the power unit. We're talking about recalibrated software, new energy deployment algorithms, and a complete rethink of the car's energy recovery logic. This isn't about a new front wing. This isn't about tweaking the diffuser. These are foundational changes, buried deep within the car's electronic brain, the kind of changes only telemetry can reveal. So let's break it down. What Ferrari's doing now is changing how the hybrid system delivers power under pressure. They're optimizing how the electrical energy from the MGU-K and MGU-H is stored, released, and balanced over the course of a lap. That's critical during high-stress moments, like safety car restarts or the final laps of a race, when every millisecond counts, and the way power is deployed can make or break a battle. If the car delivers energy at the wrong time, or holds back because it's playing it safe, you get exactly what we saw in Spain. Hamilton vanishing into the midfield while his rivals pulled away. But it goes even deeper than that. Ferrari is also tweaking the thermal management systems within the ERS, the energy recovery system. They're adjusting things so the power unit can run hotter without triggering the safety thresholds that cut performance. And when you combine that with new power mapping profiles, you change the way Hamilton interacts with the throttle, how fast he can deploy power out of slow corners, how precisely he can push in medium-speed turns, how consistently the car responds under stress. Put simply, Ferrari isn't just trying to give Hamilton more power. They're trying to give him power he can trust. Power that doesn't fade when tire wear kicks in. Power that stays alive when ambient temperatures rise. Power that listens to the driver's input and responds with total precision. And here's the key. It's all being tailored to how Hamilton drives, not how Leclerc drives, not how the simulator says the car should behave, but how Lewis feels it should behave. Because this is no longer about catching Red Bull. This is about protecting a $50 million investment. This is about making sure the most successful driver in the history of Formula One doesn't lose faith in the very team that promised him one last shot at glory. These invisible updates, hidden from fans, kept away from the cameras, might end up deciding the entire season. Because if Hamilton regains confidence in this engine, in this car, in this team, then the fight isn't over. It's only just beginning. But this isn't just a technical battle, it's psychological warfare. And Hamilton is at the center of it. Because when a driver like Lewis starts to question the machinery underneath him, you're not just risking lap time, you're risking trust. You're risking the very belief that brought him here in the first place. Belief that Ferrari was ready to build around him. That they weren't just signing a superstar to look good in red, but bringing in a leader to drive a revolution. And now, for the first time since this bold partnership began, we're seeing signs that Ferrari is genuinely listening. These internal changes, silent, invisible, but powerful, are the first real evidence that the team is tailoring its development path around Hamilton's needs, around his feedback, around his driving DNA. Make no mistake, these recalibrations aren't just about raw performance. They're about timing. Hamilton's problems haven't come at the start of stints. They've come at the end, when tires are degrading, when temperatures are spiking, when every component is stretched to its limit. That's when the power unit has been failing him. And that's exactly what these updates are designed to fix. It's no coincidence that Vasseur said some of the updates won't be visible. He's talking about recalibrated energy recovery thresholds, predictive deployment logic, refined engine braking profiles, all of which affect how the SF25 responds when Hamilton is pushing it to the edge. This isn't about making the car faster on a spec sheet. It's about making it faster when it matters. And here's the crucial part. If these updates work, Ferrari may have finally stabilized the power unit. And if that unlocks Hamilton's trust, then everything changes. The dynamic inside Maranello shifts overnight. The SF25 becomes a different car. The engineers stop firefighting and start building. And Hamilton? He goes from frustrated outsider to legitimate contender. Because at the end of the day, this whole Barcelona saga hasn't been about podiums. It hasn't been about press conferences. It's been about control. Hamilton is fighting for control of his future. Ferrari is fighting to take back control of its story. And the outcome of that battle won't be decided by a race result or a radio message. It'll be decided deep inside the car, in those invisible systems, those recalibrated codes, in that one critical moment late in a race when the engine finally holds up, instead of fading. And when that happens, when Hamilton pushes and the car finally responds, that's when the real season begins. So now, the stage is set. Ferrari has quietly fired the first shot in what might be the most critical phase of their 2025 campaign. Not with a flashy aero upgrade, not with a bold new front wing, but with something much more radical, a redefinition of how the SF25's power unit behaves under pressure. A series of updates buried deep within the brain of the car, designed not just to protect reliability, but to empower Lewis Hamilton when it matters most. They didn't bring Hamilton to Maranello for just another Sunday drive. They brought him for brilliance, for those miracle moments, for leadership forged in fire. And for the first time, it looks like the team is starting to act like they understand that they're not just managing a car, they're managing a legacy, they're managing expectations, they're managing Lewis Hamilton. Because when you have a driver of this caliber in your cockpit, you don't settle for survival, you chase greatness. But here's the twist. This story's still open. These updates could unlock a more stable, more powerful SF25. Or they could fall short. They could expose deeper flaws in Ferrari's 2025 architecture. One thing's for sure, the pressure has never been higher. The clock is ticking. And Austria, Silverstone, Spa, all of them will reveal whether these invisible fixes are enough to transform Hamilton from a frustrated figure into a roaring threat. Until then, we're watching a project in motion, a team in transition, a legend trying to write his final chapter in red, and a machine that, piece by piece, may just be waking up to meet him.